Receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world with our safe, secure, fast, and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonics Money Transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.
Bukan waringe sin million sa jupae kungangar ama pikireti coronavirus. Coronavirus kwa kaka sumut kanu manje bajuta nyine bajuta nifam bajuta nyine bajuta sek kaka ko sumut kanu manje bukana tuku gore badne baj ke bare sumu yene tere gudi ko sumut kati coronavirus tate ten tembe nyaaji baj pikire yon ko nem vacciner manje anosan awurna pour mana janga yo bangola tanka fanga fa ko sumut kati covid-19.
Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Clinic is the first of its kind in the Gambia. We have inpatient service and outpatient services. Penmore admits patients and they have intensive rehabilitations. That means treatment 3 times a day for 5 days, from Mondays to Friday, and on Fridays they go to their families to spend time with them to have family. Our patients come on regular appointments, probably 2 or 3 times in a week for treatment. We treat patients with arthritis, with back pain, stroke patients, fractures or after fracture operation, paralysis of all types, and we do treat both young and old patients. Penmore Physiotherapy gives quality physiotherapy treatments to Gambians because we are qualified physios from different parts of the world.
I would like to apologize again for starting the event late. We're very sorry for the delay. We want to welcome you all to another edition of our monthly stakeholders dialogue that we have once every month. Today is another edition where we have stakeholders and we'll be discussing on matters related to the political environment and elections at large. Before I go further, I would want to introduce everybody on the high table. We have on my far right, Yasalin Jai, the Program Officer for NDI, National Democratic Institute. Right after her, we have the President of Peace Ambassadors, the Gambia, Mr. Abubakar Sambu. We have Mamadou Juju Jallo, Program Manager for PAC, Peace Ambassadors, the Gambia. And myself, I am Awukuli, Program Officer for Peace Ambassadors, the Gambia. I guess we all have the program guide, and we'll be going by the program guide. So we've already registered, that's out of the program guide. We'll go right into the activities. We'll have the welcome remarks by Mamadou Juju Jallo, Program Manager for Peace Ambassadors, the Gambia. I'll hand over the mic to him. Can I just use one?
Yes. The mic. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to you all. As my colleague rightly mentioned, first of all, we want to apologize for the late start of this activity or this stakeholder dialogue today. As doing elder, I think we skip one thing. Can we pray individually before we commence, please? May God answer our prayers. Okay, I want to start with welcoming all of you to this event. As you know, this is not the first time Peace Ambassadors is doing a monthly stakeholder dialogue to discuss issues affecting the environment and also to map out strategies on how to solve them. And looking at this stakeholder dialogue today, we are going to look at a range of things coming from we all know there are a lot of rallies going on, and the increase of the COVID-19 is just rampant currently. And also the voter registration display period, we are also going to look at those things, and also the appeal court. So there are a lot of things we are going to discuss today, but the president is going to get into the details of that discussion. As we say, Peace Ambassadors is an organization which is there to inculcate peace in the minds of people. And we all know election is fast approaching. We have almost 2 to 3 months before the election. And it's important as an organization we talk to each other. Because once we talk to each other, we can able to understand and tolerate one another. Because in what we are hearing currently in this country, people are saying we either make it or break it. So breaking it, I will not be in that wrong side of the history. We can all say, let there be violence, but let it not come from me. So we will urge every young person in this country and every Gambian, let us maintain the peaceful coexistence we all have. And let us know Gambia is our country, is our home city, our continent, and let's make it a better place for all. So I think on that note, because we are running out of time, I want to say a very big thank and welcome all of you to come in, and I'm hoping to see a very brilliant recommendations and way forward to get this program successful. So I will want to say thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Okay. After that, a warm welcome. We'll have next on the agenda the program officer of NDI, Yasser Njai, to set light on the project partnership that we have with them. Yasser.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another stakeholders dialogue organized by Peace Ambassadors with support of National Democratic Institute, the Gambia. I'm sure we don't have a lot of new faces in the room because this has been happening for some time now. But as you know, since the last stakeholders dialogue that happened around August, there's been some very interesting developments in the electoral processes in the country. And as you know, now is the time for elections groups such as Peace Ambassadors to really put in work in high gear to ensure that these processes are observed and that the existing gaps and concerns are highlighted and recommendations are put forward to address these issues. So we welcome you again to yet another stakeholders dialogue, and we invite you to make some appropriate and applicable recommendations on a range of issues that will be discussed, including the display and appeals period following the voter registration process. We also have a lot of political activities that are happening at the moment amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. We have a conversation on the agenda as well on there will be an opportunity to put forward recommendations on mechanisms to mitigate potential electoral violence or conflict, which is always likely in any elections. So we look forward to a very fruitful discussion timely as well, and applicable recommendations as an outcome of this conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. You will all agree with me that these discussions are very timely, like she mentioned, because these elections will be a very crucial one, because it's going to be the first election after the 2016 one, where we had a dictator for almost 22 years. So it's actually a timely time to have such kind of discussions and engagement with all the stakeholders that will be participating in the elections. So next on the agenda, we'll have the President of Peace Ambassadors, Mr. Abubakar Sambo, to provide the report on the activities of the month engagement. Mr. Sambo.
Thank you very much. Good morning, members sitting on the high table here, representative from various civil society organizations, the media representatives, greetings from Peace Ambassadors the Gambia, and as to join them to welcome you to Peace Ambassadors, another edition of the monthly situational analysis. Okay. Today's monthly situational analysis reads: over the past few months, the Gambia's electoral process have been in the spotlight and in high gear. Within 2 months, especially 14 days, the Independent Electoral Commission has successfully registered 962,157 voters. They also managed to display an appeals period. They managed to display and also the appeal period, and is expected to publish the final voter registration. As is widely known, the highly anticipated presidential election scheduled for December 4, 2021 is currently less than 79 days away, and the Independent Electoral Commission has released the schedule for the nomination and campaign period for this election. As long-term election observers, Peace Ambassadors the Gambia has been monitoring electoral process and climate in the lead up to the December 4th presidential election since October 2020. Following its observation of the voter registration exercise in May and July 2021, Peace Ambassadors the Gambia has also been observing the display and appeal phase, which focus on the verification and validation of the provisional voter registration. This mainly avail registrants with the opportunity to object to the inclusion or insertion of any name in the register of voters, or have their names inserted or expunged, as the case may be. On voter registration, display and appeals period, Peace Ambassadors the Gambia deployed its regional coordinators, that is the regional observers, its regional coordinators together with the program manager to observe this process. The regional coordinators deployed observed the voters list posted in regional registration centers, and visited IEC regional offices as well. The display period, which was done by the IEC in almost all the registration centers across the country, was a list of registered names that were pasted in these centers to allow registrants of these centers to confirm their names, object to other registrants on the list due to valid reasons. Going by the IEC guideline and electoral procedures, after filing their complaints, revising courts were to be set up to allow all complainants to make appeals. From the observers' findings, indigents of some communities were publicly speaking on the process and publishing their intent to object to some names on the list, who they suspected were non-Gambians. Peace Ambassadors' observation findings shows that a lot of registrants did not understand the importance of this process, that is the display of voter rolls. And as a result, most of the display papers were torn apart in many centers, such as Odin Cinema, Lesowaf Market, and some centers in Farafenni and Basse. In some of these places, as the IEC pasted the voter list, some people just came and turned them off because they do not know the value of those papers. Many registrants also claim they were not aware of the process due to lack of information, that they do not know IEC was going to display these papers at their centers for people to verify their names. And perhaps that was even the reason why some people will tear them off, because they don't know the reason why those papers were there. However, the IEC has reported there were about 2,996 double registrants from the registration. This was reported by the Fourier on its 3rd to the 5th September newspaper publication. Independent Electoral Commission announces that it did not receive any claim or objection during the window of claims and appeal. This means that there was no revising court set up to view the claims and objections. As such, there are appeals, claims, and challenges filed by magistrates of revising courts. The IEC voter registration is therefore closed and the voter list is final. On political rallies and COVID-19, it is common knowledge that the country is under a pandemic and experiencing its 3rd wave season, and strict implementation measures were advised to be in place to combat the virus. Despite the fact that COVID-19 is on the rise on a daily basis, almost all the political parties in the country are gathering thousands of their militants in their political activities in different regions of the country. The Gambia registered a total number of 9,867 COVID-19 positive cases, of which 9,504 cases recovered and 330 death cases registered. Currently, there are 33 active cases as reported by the Ministry of Health's 15th September update. At most of these gatherings, the COVID-19 guidelines such as hand washing or sanitizers were not being implemented by these parties and their militants. The talking point here, in the midst of the pandemic, what recommendations are to be made to limit the transmission of the virus during the political activities, such as the nominations and campaign period, as well as the election day? Our discussion should be able to look at these things and come up with recommendations. The Independent Electoral Commission's update on the December 4th election and the final voter list. The IEC on the 8th September updated the public through a press release on some important dates on the electoral calendar. It was noted that the presidential election is scheduled for December 4th, 2021. Nominations of candidates scheduled from October 30th to November 5th, 2021, between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., and the campaign period is scheduled for November 9th, 2021 to December 2nd, 2021. On September 14th, the IEC gave the update on the final voter list. For the first time, they gave analysis of statistics and segregation of voter per constituency, region, gender, and age. This was a key recommendation from the Peace Ambassador's final report of the voter registration observation. Below is the infographic of the sex and youth representation. The first chart indicates the percentage of women against men and registered at the that are registered at regions of the country. From the chart, women registered more than men in all the regions across the country. And the second chart shows the percentage of youth, especially 18 to 35 years, that registered against non-youth, 35 plus years. From chart, you clearly registered more than, youth clearly registered more than other age brackets in all regions of the country. It would have been projected for you to see the chart, but nonetheless, I will read and you will be able to understand. with regards to the percentage of female versus male registration per region, in Banjul region, the percentage stands, we have 47.5% for male and 52.5% for female in the Banjul region. In Kanifing, we have 45.6% representing male population that registered and 54.6% of female that registered. In Brikama, West Coast region, 43.7% of women of male registered against 56.3% of female that has registered. In Kerawan, that is the North Bank region, you have 43.2% of male registrants and 56.8% of women registration. In Mansakonko, 45.1% of male registered, while 54.9% are female. And in Janjambure, you have 42.4% of male registrants, while we have 57.6% of female. And in Basse, that is the URR, 38.1% of male registered, while we have 61.9% of female registered. On the percentage of youth registration per region, for Banjul, that is talking about those who have youth that have registered between the ages of 18 to 35, and those who have registered between 35 years plus. Now, for Banjul, we have between 18 and 35 years, we have 48.6% that have registered for that, and in Banjul, those who are 35 years plus, 51.4%. In Kanifing, between 18 and 35 years, we have 57.4%, very youthful, that have registered, and 35 plus age, we have 42.6% that have registered in Kanifing. In Brikama, West Coast region, we have 58.3% that have registered within the age bracket of 18 and 35, while we have 35 plus age, 41.7% that have registered. In Kerawan, 55.6% of youth between 18 and 35 years registered, while 35 years plus stand at 44.4%. In Mansakonko, 56.6% of young people between 18 and 35 years registered, while we have 43.4% of those more than 35 years registered. In Janjambure, we have 58.2% of young people between 18 and 35 years registered, while those above 35 years stand at 41.8%. And in Basse, 59.9% of young people between 18 and 35 registered, while those more than 35 years stand at 40.1%. So this is the percentage based segregation that is being provided by the IAC. And this shows that this year's election is very youthful. A lot of young people have registered against those who are older, above the youth age bracket. Electoral conflict mitigation. Lately, the political environment has been heated up by political actors who have been trending accusations and counter-accusations, typical in any electoral contest. What's worrying more is the trend for hate speech. We are used to already political parties accusing one another, false accusations here and there, but what we are not used to as Gambians, and it is very worrying, is the level of hate speeches that are coming out now, which definitely Peace Ambassadors is concerned, and will be calling on all stakeholders to do their best to ensure people are enlightened, because those things are dangerous for our peace and security. The hate speech, intimidation, and political opponents, disinformation, and perhaps misinformation. This is also dangerous, and we are applauding a group of young people that we are seeing now coming up with a campaign daily basis talking about misinformation and disinformation. We applaud that initiative and we say thank you very much. Peace Ambassadors is with you in it. We also are going to campaign against, are going to support you in that campaign against misinformation, because that is dangerous. When you are passing misinformation, wrong information to the people, the likelihood is they will believe in that information and they will act based on that information, which could be dangerous because it's going to make them make wrong judgments when informations are not correct. The National Early Warning System of WANEP report by the National Early Warning System News report by WANEP indicated that diverse political rhetoric, verbal and moral violence, misinformation and spread of fake news, physical violence, which includes destruction of property in certain places, were threats likely to undermine the ongoing electoral process if they remain unchecked. This is really very worrying. That is a report, an analysis from WANEP in their early warning report, that this is really serious. People attacking one another as a result of their political differences, which definitely should not be encouraged. But all Gambians need to stand against that. We can be different in our views, but that doesn't mean we should hate one another and by attacking each other. The talking point here, what recommendations could be made to address this trend to guarantee a peaceful electoral process before, during, and after the presidential elections? So, as we all know, we all understand this is going to be the most contentious election, having up to close to 18 registered political parties and many other independent candidates. We may likely see coalitions upon coalitions coming up. That's going to still make the election very contentious. So what we should not encourage, we should not accept as Gambians, is people coming to us to divide us. People coming to us to use our tribes, to use our religions, to use our geographical locations, to use that to divide us. We can come from the same places with politicians, but that doesn't mean we will be blindly supporting them by accepting everything that they tell us, even if it means hating one another. Peace Ambassadors stand against that as a peace education and advocacy organization, and we call on every Gambian to stand firm that we will not give them, we will not give any politician even a smallest chance to pass messages that will be dividing us. But we encourage them to tell us their policies. What do they have to help us, to help the Gambia move to what we want to see it, where we want to see the Gambia. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
We all have some questions, comments, or concerns that we would want to add on to the discussions. Now I'll hand over the mic to Bai. He'll be moderating this session of the discussions to get your recommendations and your suggestions from the report. Thank you very much.
Work of the relevant stakeholders that are involved in these elections. And as such, we will go through the first point to discuss in this. And that is looking at the voter registration display and appeal periods. If you have gone through, there's a question there or a talking point that needs to be discussed on. And this question reads, the talking point, being that the display and appeal period is an important phase of the electoral cycle. In ensuring electoral integrity, the youth, women, and persons with disabilities to be part of the ongoing electoral process. So the floor is open, please. If you have anything to recommend to this effect, please, the floor is open for you to share. Thank you.
I'm happy that you have also realized that people are spreading false messages, which can also cause serious problems for our country. We should take Rwanda as an example. During the genocide in Rwanda, it was because of false messages caused by journalists who were spreading false messages that has also increased the value.
I would like to apologize again.